What happens when a minister, a forensic science student, a biomedical science student, and another forensic science student have lunch at my house? A discussion on gender inequality in Australia. Did you know that males suffer from depression more than females? And what do you think may be the reason for this? Do we put too much pressure on males to be perfect? Or do we do we make them too macho or masculine in our media?
Well, you hear all the time about photoshopping and girls' confidence, and it's the same for males. If you pick up a male fitness magazine, it's all buff. They're all built, and if you're not like that, then you're not the perfect male. You're seen as unmasculine, and that makes sense to me. And men are more likely to hide it. They don't want to appear weak.
Because they don't want to appear weak, because everybody always says, oh, men are the macho ones.
Yeah, man up.
Weak.
Grow some balls, like that's all
Grow some balls.
male stuff. Yeah. And if you're depressed about how you feel, you're not going to admit to it.
No, because you'd be worried about being judged. Everyone looks at the one male in the room who's actually participating.
A good example of the depression amongst men arose in the last few years when Australia was in a drought, particularly in Victoria, when there were a lot of farmers who really suffered during those drought times, who carry the weight of caring for the family on the farm. And there was actually quite a lot of suicides that happened, and there were a lot of community groups and that started kind of men's groups so that men could come together and talk together, share, even cry together. I mean, it's not, there is this kind of perception that, men don't cry, but to provide a safe place where men can be with men and share their stories with each other is really, really important. So, from the farming perspective, there's certainly a lot of depression in the past and still around, I think.
Do you think that this may be because of the traditional ways of how a man is meant to provide for his family as well?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's also stressful as well, especially with so many companies closing now. A lot of men and women that work for those.
Shell changing.
And forward laid off people as well. So it's a lot of stress trying to find a new job or keep that job to support your family.
Yeah. How did you feel about the recent publication about discrimination towards women who return to the workforce after maternity leave, or even when they have to ask for maternity leave?
I don't think they should be discriminated against.
If male paternity is a thing, they can have leave. Women have to have the leave because they've just had the child. They could be recovering from surgery. They could be, they have to spend the time with the child.
Yeah.
But I do feel that women get judged when they come back.
Yeah.
Because there's the whole, you've had a kid, you can't be a working mom now.
You've got to be a housewife.
You've got to be a housewife now. And they need to return to work. Sometimes it's for themselves.
Yeah.
Most of the time, women feel the need to return to work to support their child that they've just had.
And then they can also, it takes the pressure off of the husband as well. That goes back to the whole
him bringing back the bacon.
Bringing home the bacon, It's not it doesn't have to be just a man thing. It can be for the wife as well.
Yeah.
I do think there's inequality for women in high levels, as you'd raised, in high levels in workplaces, in the government. I mean, if you compare the number of female ministers to male ministers, as in government ministers, it's well weighted toward males. So I think that's a real issue. Particularly because there's sort of equality in education now. Women and men are both achieving same things in education. So what is it that happens between the finishing of the education and then 20 years later in the workplace? What's happened there? And maybe it's partly about women taking time off, to raise a family. So they miss out on those what do you call them?
Milestones?
Opportunities, or
Mm.
opportunities for being higher up in an organisation. So when they step back into the workforce again, they're not seen as highly qualified as the male counterpart who might have been in that job for all that time while she was out. So I can kind of understand in some ways that. I don't know what you do about that. I don't know that you can really do anything about that, actually.
Do you think that there have been improvements in the treatment of women?
So I guess it depends on what you're comparing it to. You
Yeah.
know, where improvements since when? You know, obviously improvements since before women got the vote. There's obviously massive improvements in that. In the last 10 years, I don't know. I think we've probably just stagnated a bit. I don't know that we would have got any better, or any worse, really.
Sometimes it seems like we're going backwards as well.
Yeah, in what way?
In some aspects, like, I don't know. It's just, like we've gone forward in a lot of ways. And I appreciate that. But then
There's always the chance that we could go backwards.
There's always things that sort of you look at and you're like, really?
Is that sexism? Is that
really?
should that be happening this day and age with where we stand?
Yeah. You just think about it and you're
Like discrimination in the workforce. Like
yeah.
the arguments over paternity leave and how long women should have it for and if they should be paid or all that jazz. Yeah.
Yeah.